Good evening, everyone. In this world of immense innovation, where technology keeps pushing us towards oceans of changes, we, the interns of IEEE Kerala Section, brings you the ultimate platform to channel your thoughts. Color your space, talk without limits. I am Julia from the interns team, and I will be the MC for this session. For the session, I wholeheartedly welcome Arya Miri Verghese, IEEE Student Member at Muthoot Institute of Technology and Science Ernakulam, to talk about a rise in female entrepreneurs. If any of you have any doubts, please do feel free to put it up in the live YouTube chat. We shall answer it at the end of the session. Over to you, Arya.
Thank you, Divya, for your warm welcome. Let me begin. Okay, so a very pleasant evening to all. Let me begin my shoot with a gratitude note. I take this opportunity to thank IEEE Kerala Section for giving a space for me to color. Thank you for your wonderful initiative, Color Your Space. So, without further delay, let me start my talk on the topic, a rise in female entrepreneurs. Before moving on to the core topic, let us discuss some areas and some data, some figures to know more about the problem or more about the reason. So this is just a student profile, that is MBA versus masters. Let's go through that. What is the percentage of female students pursuing MBA? It's 40%. When it comes to masters, it turns into 45%. Let me clearly say that these are the count of students pursuing MPA and masters 6 years ago. And this data was calculated for a lady to talk about women in business. So I just took this data from her talk. So I wanted to say that 6 years ago, there was a count of 40% and 45% women pursuing MBA and masters. But what was? How many of them made it? That's my question. Women are there to learn. Women step back when it comes into practical application. Moving on, why does this happen? Why women confined with studying, just studying? Why do not they why doesn't make them happen? The reason is risk. Women prefer to take up roles that are safe and secure. If you have the courage to take risk, only then you will have a reward. That's what the slide suggests. Do you have the courage to take risk? Every woman or every girl should ask themselves, do I have the courage to take risk? What does this courage means? What does this risk means? You have to risk your reputation, you have to risk your money, you have to risk your time, you have to risk your heart and soul. You have to risk everything in order to get a reward. Entrepreneurship is an area where it requires the pure form of the heavenly form of risk. Only a person, only a woman who have the courage to risk will only get succeeded if you are getting into entrepreneurship. But what does others see? What does we see? We as students, we as just a person in the society, we see just a final end. Final end is what we see. But we have to keep in mind that Taking an example of any entrepreneur, let it be anyone, like being an Beena Kannan or whoever you know, just a person doing craft at home. You have to keep in mind that behind the successful story of every entrepreneur, there will be a chapter called failure. Because failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of success. When we realize the fact that failure is a part of success, not the opposite of success, obviously the success will come to us. So life begins at the end of our comfort zones. That's what I have to say with this slide, risk versus reward. Now let me take you all to a talk. Like a talk by Amira Shah. She's an entrepreneur, well-known entrepreneur. And it was very inspiring to hear her talk about women in business, like a talk about entrepreneurship and females. It was very amazing to hear her quote, like her thoughts. And from her talk only, I took this slide. Because before delivering a talk about something, we have to keep on searching about life of entrepreneurs. So I thought this is something inspiring because this is not the sentences or the words that you see on the screen is not something that written like took from the Google or something. It's her life of Amira Shah. She began with 5 stories. It was not stories actually. It was incident that happened in her life. I just don't want to repeat those stories because all the stories had the same content. What is it? Women has to face many difficulties in order to start a business. So she said that India is a patriarchal society. It's a male-dominating society, and there is no doubt in that. It's a patriarchal society only. So, what is the dilemma of Indian women? In order to start a business for Amira, she experienced these things in her life. So, what's it? Let's see, because you will find ourselves in that situations. The thing is, the dilemma of Indian women. A conditioned lack of self-belief and an ecosystem that promotes the lack of self-belief. A conditioned lack of self-belief, what does it mean? Because your father, your brother, your husband, whoever be, what does he says to you? You be there, I'm there for you, I'm here for you. Papa is here for you, or yeah, brother is here for you. Don't worry, I'm there for you. Because like, what does she thought? She thought that you are not always alone. You have your dad, you have your husband, or you have your brother with you. That means, ultimately, what does it mean? We are just not finding the facts behind that sentence. That sentence ultimately means that we are dependent. We are dependent on somebody else. When you depend on somebody else, it's hard for the success, or it's hard for you to be an entrepreneur. Because being an entrepreneur is not an easy task. If any women being an entrepreneur, or if you see some female entrepreneurs, respect them because they are doing an amazing job. So when this is a lack of self-belief. So let me talk about I doesn't want to talk more about this ecosystem that promotes lack of self-belief. What's it? Because it's surroundings that we live in. When we step out of our house, what does our parents say? Go safe. Here, your father is here for you for every of your needs. Just dial if you have any needs. That's what even our parents say to us. But behind everything, but what does they say to, like, just think about your brother who is stepping out of your house. You have to go, you have to come back on this time. There is only you to look after you. Like, boys are taught to be independent. They have to look after themselves. But when it comes to girls, it's like they are covering us with a layer of protection. So these are the situations that every girl in our society had to face. And this will affect our thoughts in some way or the other. Now, moving on, how do you say that your father, how do you say your father, your siblings, they do love you? How can you say that? Because you will say some instances, you will say some situations that they love you. But ultimately, what does that equals to? If you recognize, simply close your eyes and take some instances to say that your parents love you. I doesn't say set back everything. I'm just saying that the conditions or the instances that happens in your life only. Ultimately, when you take your instances in your life to say that they loves you, ultimately you can just equate it to protection. That's just a fact we are we are going through. Now, next question is, how will you manage? Yeah, that is a very important question that we have to discuss. How will you manage? How will you manage if you have to work with a male? How will you manage if you have to travel a long distance? Being an entrepreneur, it's not easy. It's not easy to sit in your home, sit in a room which is confined with the four walls of your room. It's not like that. You have to explore the world. You have to work day and night. You have to travel a lot. How will you manage? There is nothing much to think about that. How others will manage? Like that way only you are also going to manage. It's not that a big deal. Traveling a long distance or working with somebody else, somebody with a stranger, that doesn't mean it's not a great thing. It's just usual. It's very easy. If you take it easy, then everything will go in its smoothness. It's not a big task. It's part of your professional life. Being an entrepreneur is having a position, like a position, respectable position. So the next point is object of beauty. It's a point which itself have an importance. Being a girl with with stunning look, then it's very easy for her to survive, because a handsome young boy with wealth, with established guy can marry you, and your future is safe. That's what everyone believes. That is what the society 6 years ago believed. And I should say that it's a kind of stupidness. It's not based on your beauty, we are not a object of beauty. Women are not an object of beauty. So these are the situations, or these are the instances that an entrepreneur had to go through, because these points are actually taken from the life of Amira, an entrepreneur. Only when the points are taken from an entrepreneur, it will be more believable for you, because every time you have to seek advice, or you have to take instances from an experienced person, not a person simply sitting and judging. It's easy for anyone on earth can simply sit and judge somebody else, but it's not easy to be that, or to get involved in that. So when you take advice, keep in mind that advice means you have to take it from somebody who is an experienced person. like who have experience in that particular area. If you need to take advice, go and take advice from a person who have experience, not a person who simply sits and judges others. You shouldn't go with to that negative kind of people, because before you start something like entrepreneurship, keep in mind that it's not an easy task. I currently I'm taking about the topic a rise in female entrepreneurs. So when I talk about a rise in female entrepreneurs, it doesn't mean that it was like entrepreneurship turned into an easy task. That's why this rise happened. It's not like that. It's absolutely, I doesn't claim that a rise in female entrepreneurship happens only because of strong reasons that do exist. Strong women were able to overcome all those barriers that exist in this world or in this place where you are. So moving on, so I think all of you are clear about the situation, the root cause, or a clear picture about what are the situations that do exist in order to go ahead. Now let's move on to the core topic, that is a rise in female entrepreneurs. So we will find its answer, or we will divide the entire topic into answers to these three questions. Why did this rise happen? What made this rise happen, and how did this happen? When we talk about something, we have to get something to work out. Simply knowing some other success or talking about somebody else's life, just its outcome, that makes it incomplete. Like all of us are going through daily, we are scrolling in Instagram, right? So what happens? You see so many of transformation video. One day I came to see a video that talks about like a girl simply saying that all these girls are posting their transformation video, but none says how did they transform. Actually, what we need the way, or how did that transformation happen. That's what viewers want to know. So here, when I talk about a rise in female entrepreneurs, I'm going to discuss about why, what, and how questions. Okay, so moving on to the root answers. Let's dig more into the topic, a rise in female entrepreneurs. So many points are running through the screen, and every point, if you just jump through every point, you will find everything is very true and very clear to everyone. It's nothing that to be explained. So let's go through the answer of why. Women doing business in India is nothing new. It's absolutely a thing that happened years ago. From the neighborhood auntie who runs a beauty parlor, through a teacher who conducts a tuition center from home, we have all seen women spreading businesses. All of us, like now thinking about your neighboring aunties or your cousins, you will find, oh, so they are also entrepreneurs. Yes, they are. But then for years, women had to contend with this small, informal work from home businesses. Because why does they just confine with a small, informal work from home business? Yeah, there are some reasons. Because what does we want? We want and others want us to take safe and secure job. That is, everything that they focus is all about security and safety of women. But keep in mind the point that I said earlier. Do you have the courage to take risk? Because women years ago doesn't had the courage to take risk. That's why years later also they confined with these small informal work from home business. If women taking tuition, if they have that courage to expand their business, another Byju's app would have been formed earlier. So think, why do you want to be really independent? Then you have to take risk. Simply sitting and saying that you want to be independent, you can't. You have to take some effort. The challenges of breaking into formal business sectors are plenty. So here we are going to discuss about the most common problems women face in India while setting up an entrepreneurial project. And these are those points: family ties, homemaking, child rearing responsibilities. So what's it? It's a thing that we see from just take an example. Who is free? It's your mother. Take, like, I'm not saying every mother, just saying like some of them will be just, they have some family ties, they homemaking, they have to look after their children, their studies, their growth. Everything is handled by a women only. So next point is the lack of support from family members. Yeah, to an extent, that is also a reason. We want, like, support is always necessary, because only if you have a support, we do have that courage. Like, always, it's not necessary to have a support from somebody else. It's only you that who have to support yourself. Because when support comes from family, it will be confined to security and safety. So please don't go around that. We have to, the only person to support us should be only ourselves only. So moving on, next point, all the school lending institutions that question the credibility of women. Yeah, when we talk about entrepreneurship, the main point that we have to keep in mind is it's capital, it's fund, it's very necessary. So this all lending institutions means that is just like bank only. It's like loan providing companies. So they just question the credibility of women. But also we should keep in mind that the loan repayment rate of women is higher than that of men. Like, data and figures do exist, but it's with the thoughts of some common people that will not change. So I'm talking about the reasons why this rise in female entrepreneurs didn't happen years ago. Currently, the thing have changed. We have a very amazing entrepreneurs in our surrounding. So next is the red tape and the tangles of bureaucracy. Yeah, it's a paperwork that we have to do. In order to start anything, the paperworks are like, it's a headache for everyone. Only because of this paperwork, some people may step back. But go ahead. Yeah, that's also a reason. Then a patriarchal society that makes it difficult for women to compete with their male counterparts. Yeah, that's male domination. Yeah, male domination is a reason. Yeah, these all are reasons why this rise in female entrepreneurs didn't happen years ago. But going on, what you can see an amazing rise in women entrepreneurs. I will, like, when I talk about this rise in female entrepreneurs, I should show some data, right? I will show its correct data at the end of this presentation. I do have that data. Okay, so now let's discuss about the change. Why did this change happen? But with this last few years, with digitization, liberalization, growth of e-commerce and social network, plenty has changed. Today, a vast majority of startups in India are either run by a team of women or have a female co-founder. That's the thing that, it's a very respectable thing. That is the change that happens with these reasons. So what is this digitization? Like documentation has changed into digital mode. That has helped a lot. Then liberalization. What do you mean by liberalization? Liberalization means like it's a freedom, setting us free. You can only take a risk, only you can explore if you have freedom. Our Constitution of India grants freedom. Like it was granted earlier, yeah. But what does now happen? Like the true freedom. Whoever have experienced a true freedom will have the courage to take risk and go forward. Then the growth of e-commerce, it's nothing to be explained. Growth of e-commerce, that one everyone is seeing with the website, what's happening. How do you purchase your products with Flipkart, with Amazon and some other. I'm not giving advertisement to Flipkart or Amazon. I'm just saying the most commonly used ones. Yeah, probably me too. I'm also doing the same. So the growth of e-commerce. Now it's very easy to sell your products if you have a startup. Sorry, if you have a startup or if you have something business. Then the social network. To talk about the social network, now a person without a Instagram account or Facebook account is like it's hard to see a person. So for an entrepreneurs to sell their products years before, it was not easy. To market their products was not easy. But what is the situation currently? To advertise, it's very easy because every person going through YouTube or every like whatever media they goes through, there are advertisements. The platform that we all are aware of, Instagram. Probably all of us will be buying your products through Instagram only. It's an amazing platform for entrepreneurs to sell their products. Like being a volunteer of Venus campaign, like Venus campaign with so much of entrepreneurs, 700 plus entrepreneurs. That's all focused on the area. Like they all do sell their business through Instagram only. So think about that. There are 700, there are thousands of entrepreneurs who use Instagram as a medium for selling their products. So now let's move on. So yes, we are going to the second question. What? The crucial factors that play a major role in the rise of women entrepreneurship in India. And every points were discussed earlier. Now just we are moving like after all, if you know the root cause or if you know the situation, you will know the problem statements and you will know the solutions too. That's what happened here. The growth of digital lenders. I said about the capital, like they question about the credibility of women. But now digital lenders, with the growth of digital lenders, it's very easy for women who has an entrepreneurial idea to get a loan. It's with the increase in digital lending platforms like IndFi. It's a like loan business today business availing, like it's a business loan giving company only. So you have digital lenders. So if you have an idea, then you can move forward. So what do you need? You need the strong information about everything. When you start something, you should know about the simpler ways, the conventional, like some alternative ways, but it shouldn't be shortcuts. I will not encourage to take the shortcut, but I'm talking about the other one. It's not the shortcut. Go with the simpler ways. That's what I'm talking about. The digital lenders. If you have an idea, go ahead. You have digital lending platforms to support you. Then online selling. Online selling. It's a factor that helped a lot for the rise of women entrepreneurs in the country. Today, one can sell products right from home. With online shopping, a women entrepreneur can easily send products to anywhere across the country and even worldwide. And these are not just simply blabbering sentences. You just don't take it as simple sentences. Because I have, like I said earlier, that I do have connection with 25 to 30 entrepreneurs. Being a part of Women's Campaign, I was able to attain that relationship. And from that I came to know that girls at our age are selling products worldwide. I saw some statuses being like their products being shipped to Ireland, to Canada, and some other places. So that means like though whoever have the whoever have a strong mind to take risk, and who do have a strong base and strong desire to be an entrepreneur can be. Yeah, now moving on. So what for online selling, what do they need to do? It's just to set up an e-commerce website or just sign up for an online marketplace. So they will get a portal to showcase and demonstrate their products. So what this digital platform has made easy for women to set a business right from home and then expands as their business grows. Now the last point, that is the popularity of social networks. Social networks, all like we have already discussed about the social networks like Instagram, Facebook, and any other thing, because easily if you have your products, then you can easily sell your products. You can sell your products anywhere. So what do you need? You should have a social media page with right content. The business can go places. So in fact, what does this social networks play a major role for this rise in women entrepreneurs? Now we talked about the answer to the question what. So the next slide, that is how. Yeah, this is what everyone want to know. Like if you want to be tomorrow, if you want to be an entrepreneur, keep in mind what is behind a successful woman. I said earlier that a rise in women entrepreneurs doesn't mean that entrepreneurship has changed into an easy task. It's not like that. There are some strong reasons behind a successful woman. Education, loosening stranglehold of patriarchy, rise of feminism, merit over gender, and family support. So, to talk about the education, for this gender equality, the great leveler, education has been a great leveler in gender equality. So, I think in India, everyone have the right to take education, like right to get education. So, the democratization of education has empowered women with knowledge and skills to take up roles and responsibilities that were long regarded beyond their ken. Like first of all, like earlier period, it was earlier means I should say years and years and years ago. To talk about a condition since like when I said 6 years ago, also this rise have not made like it doesn't happen. It was in this rise was not there 6 years ago, but 6 years ago every girls had I showed a student profile of this MBA and masters. Everyone had the right to take education. But what we should do is we should have the right knowledge and skills to take up roles. And the patriarchy now, to an extent, this patriarchy has been loosened. Like there is a loosening. Now I think like women have their own stand. If they do have education, if they do have a view to express, obviously there are platforms. Then the rise of feminism. Feminism means considering men and women equal. Yeah, this with feminism also women was able to get a better place, better platform. Then it's merit over gender. I think according to my personal opinion, I like the this merit over gender, like there is no need of a separate platform for a separate encouragement for women. Like if they do have the courage to stand in somewhere, then they can go on, because there are no much, yeah, there are so much of confinement, but to an extent, if they do have a strong courage, or if they do have education, if they have the power to move on, then they can. Last one is family support. Yeah, now taking families, seen that like it's so good to see that like every parent support their children equally, like being girl or boy, they support them they gave an amazing support to girls also. That's why now we can see a change. Now this is an answer to the question I said before, that is the data and figures. When I talk about a rise in women entrepreneurs, I should show some data and figures. And this is that. There are 9.1 million women-owned businesses nationwide, employing 7.9 million employees, generating $1.4 trillion in sales, according to the National Association of Women Business Owners. So that means absolutely there is a rise in women entrepreneurs. So yeah, I have reached the concluding slide. So before concluding, let me say, what does we want? We should have good senses. Like we should think like a wolf. We should have the power of a tiger. We should have the vision of an eagle so that we can move ahead. So take advice from experienced ones and then move ahead. You can, if you want to be a women entrepreneur or if you want to be an entrepreneur, obviously you can. But keep in mind, no job is easy. Being an entrepreneur, you will have so many persons to be taken care. Like you have so much of workers your under your under your hands. So you have to be that strong in every areas. Being being independent means you have to be independent in all terms. When it comes to the matter of money too, or you should be independent. When it comes to more crucial matters, please don't go and like you have to take advices plus, but don't go and ask for and like to stand in your place and do something to don't go and ask to somebody else to be you in order to run that when crisis comes. If you take up a duty, do it to its maximum. Obviously you can succeed if you have the courage to take up risk. Thank you, that's it.
It was a really nice talk, Arya. We do have some questions in the chat. I will read it to you.
Okay,
Can you name some inspiring women entrepreneurs?
to talk about inspiring entrepreneurs, really I doesn't want to talk about entrepreneurs like so much so much established. Just take an example of the products that you purchase from Instagram. They all are successful entrepreneurs. Let it be a craft worker. I have a person like I the entrepreneurs that I sees daily. I have so many pages, but I doesn't want to give advertisement to them. But there are so much like one of Juliana. I think many of them will be familiar with that, familiar with Juliana Chechi. Then there are so many like they are the persons that you can inspire because she was a person who was just like she's just our age, she is just 2 or 3 years elder than us only. So then other than that, home like Kavya, I'm talking about common entrepreneurs because I doesn't want to take you to an entrepreneurs like Amira Shah who are so established ones. I doesn't want to take you to that level. I just wanted to make you understand about the common women that are around us. I think that's enough because I just don't want to go to some inspiring ladies like so renowned ones. I doesn't want to talk about them because like you can browse it on your Google. But if you want to know, if you want to talk to some persons or to start something, talk to common entrepreneurs like the entrepreneurs that you see in your day-to-day life. It will be a person who will be baking a cake for you. It will be a person who is making explosion boxes. They are also entrepreneurs. I think that's enough, Juliana.
Okay, Arya, the next question is, what do you think about women entrepreneurs who prefer traditional or conventional business genre that are especially feminine rather than something more generic?
Could you please repeat the question?
What do you think about women entrepreneurs who prefer traditional or conventional business genre that are specially feminine rather than something more generic?
Rather than more generic. Actually, I didn't get that question. I think
Okay.
is that question about the
Actually,
area, like
it's a
about the
general
pro?
question.
Yeah, it's about talking about. I think it's the area that you're concentrating. According to what I understand, it may be the products or what kind of. It can be when we talk about entrepreneurship. Like this startup can be a kind of technical or non-technical. It can be general, whatever it like. The thing can be varied. I think that
Okay.
was a question. Actually, I didn't get that question anyway. I just wanted to say that the area that you focus can be anything. Let it be like talking about this kitchen utensils or setting up a startup company or moving on with some products that you use in your daily life. The area can be anything, but like that's their choice because the product that they want. Sometimes they will give a custom look to their products. It's their wish. They can choose anything. Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't get that question completely.
Okay, Arya. The next question. How to keep calm and be focused while being an entrepreneur in a patriarchal society?
Yeah, to talk about a patriarchal society, men dominating society, how can you be calm? To be calm, I think there is no need to differentiate the gender, whether it be a men or women. What you have to do is focus on your work. When you start something, obviously there will be so much of negativeness. Like they will give you some situations. What will you do if this happens? What will you do if that happens? That will disturb ourselves. And keep in mind, this was actually I heard an entrepreneur talking. If you need a break, you should take a break. Taking break doesn't mean that you are like escaping from the work pressure. If you like if whatever work that you are taking, if like being an entrepreneur, you will be the person who have to take so much of pressures because there are so much of areas that you have to handle. So to be calm, if you have so much of work, if you have so much of pressure, then take a break because the break is the best thing that you can bring yourself back. So I think that's enough. Take a break. That will make your entire body, your entire work, yourself calm.
Okay, the next question. What do you think about taking the initiative between the chaos of society?
Question, please again.
What do you think about taking the initiative between the chaos of the society?
Wait a minute. Let me check in the chat box. Can I say that? Actually, I can't see the question and I can't understand. I think there is I have some audio issues.
Oh, okay.
Why can't I see this questions in the chat box?
It's actually in the YouTube live chat.
Okay, okay. I didn't get your question, Julia. Julia.
Yeah, then we will move on to next question.
Yeah, okay.
What is your opinion about women resigning from jobs after marriage?
It's the greatest foolishness that I can ever see. Like, why do they want to resign after marriage? And like, one more thing, I should respect everyone's feelings. Like, if they want to take a leave for their own interest, or if they want to resign for their own interest, then it's normal. They can because if I doesn't after all getting successfully completing my graduation, if I want to simply say, then it's okay. It's their wish. But the thing that I have to say is you shouldn't like it should not be something that was forcibly put on you. Like it should not be something that been done due to some external forces. That's absolutely a foolishness because you have you have the education, you have the power to conquer the world because that's what under like that's what you are gaining through this education, this quality education. So you should have at least the power to continue the, if you love to take part that occupation, or if you love to take part to that job, then you should. But it's okay to accept that if you doesn't want to go for work, if you want to be a homemaker, if you want to look after your children, then it's okay. It's her wish. But keep in mind that you shouldn't compromise your life for somebody else. You shouldn't compromise, because compromising your life means there is no use of being be continuing continuing your life. You shouldn't compromise your life. That's what I want to say. And everything is their own personal wish. I'm a person who gives freedom, their wish, their choice. It's not my life, but keep in mind you shouldn't compromise your life, your occupation, or your enjoyments or your life. You shouldn't compromise.
Okay, yeah, there is one last question. Are you an entrepreneur? Do you have a plan for being one?
Yeah, so very good question. Thank you for that question. First of all, I'm not an entrepreneur. So the next question which will rise in their mind will be, then why did I choose this topic? Yeah, that's because I should say that I am a volunteer of Venus campaign. It's a campaign that promotes women entrepreneurs. So from it, I have an experience of, like, from its starting, I was there and I was a part of that, because I have communicated with so many entrepreneurs. That's why I got interested in this special area. And obviously, I have an eye on being an entrepreneur. In future, I will, because I do have an interest. That's why I just choose this as a topic, a rise in female entrepreneurs. We do have chances to be an entrepreneur, so why should we waste that? Okay, Julia?
Okay. Thank you for the explanation. That's all for the questions. Gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom. Sharing it is the first step towards humanity. With this, we conclude today's first session of Color Space. Thank you, Arya, for an amazing talk on a rise in female entrepreneurs. Hope this session was enlightening. I would also like to extend my gratitude towards the organizers as well as the audience for being a part of this session. Until next time, good night.